I mean, water is about to wake up and it is going to change everything when water wakes up. I mean, just the awakening of water is going to blow people's minds because we are going to have a conscious interface with water that is instantaneous. It's very real time. We are going to commune with water in a way that we haven't done for a very long time on this planet, and it's going to be the phase of water, a new nature, if you want to call it a new type of phase of water, and the ability of our consciousness and water to interact with each other and to water to respond real time in 3D motion in basically like holographic motion in terms of communication, experience, healing, vortices, ceremonies, everything. I mean, water is about to wake up and it is going to change everything when water wakes up. I mean, it is just starting to stretch and go, ah, okay, here we go. Because when water wakes up, if we don't ascend, I can tell you this much, all hell's gonna break loose. You don't want water to wake up when humanity is at the level of consciousness they're at, because it's gonna go, what are you doing? Unacceptable behavior. So just stay asleep a little longer, water, until we get a little bit of ascension. So then when you wake up, we're kind of on the same plane, because it's gonna look at the Navy and go, oh, hell no.
Latest book here on the subject.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you the quick read. So through breakthrough research and revolutionary discoveries, the secret science of water, energy, consciousness, health, and spirituality are unlocked for the first time, unveiling a mystery that has been hidden for thousands of years, demonstrated in our most honest science and expressed in our most religious text. Water Codes reveals the true story of water through new science and ancient wisdom, decoding and the leading sciences of health, DNA, energy, enlightenment, et cetera, et cetera. Goes into, H3O2, restructured water. No, this is by Dr. Carly.
Oh, Carly. Okay.
But there's some pretty powerful, potent light coming into our world soon that they're going to call radiation. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing at all. It just means it can transform stuff and it's high energy. So, like, they have no idea. They have no idea what's coming. They're going to shit their pants when they measure the stuff that's coming in the next couple of years. They're going to be like, "Oh my God." We're part of a much bigger system, and there's a lot of beings involved, and there's a lot of consequences to the actions that have happened. And no, there's nothing's going to stop the process that's coming.
Is that the
You
outcome?
mentioned water waking up. Give me an example, or give us an example of
Oh, okay.
what
So,
that looks like in practicality.
so here's the vision of the water waking up. This is one of those things that's like a locked-in future that cannot be altered.
Cool.
So Um, imagine, and now it could be with salt water or fresh water. It doesn't matter. This experience will happen with both. So this will be with ocean water and with lake water, river water, everything, etc. So you'll have, as we go into this more collective consciousness and we start to raise our awareness of each other's presence, and we will tune in to the energy flowing with water. So an example of this, like a vision of this, would be a group of people humming or chanting around water. So let's say you have a circle of people standing in a shallow part on the beach or the ocean or whatever. They will produce frequencies through their chanting and their humming, and their consciousness will be connected. They will produce a vortex of energy within that group of people. The water will respond to that vortex. It will rise up in a vortex in a column, and it will bring in tremendous amount of etheric energy through it. It will channel through that column of that water into the ocean. The people will commune with the water. They will see symbols in the water. They will see language in the water, kind of like Vedas talked about. They'll have real-time communication with etheric beings through the water, with higher levels of higher dimensions through the water, higher levels of awareness in the water. When they do that, when people have those ceremonies, that attunement to that water will resonate throughout everything that that water touches. All the water will start to spontaneously also produce columns and vortices, because the vortice will tap the interdimensional transfer of energy. It will tap the higher dimensions. It will bring in tremendous amounts of energy. When that starts happening, the practical side of that is high oxygenation in the water. So the dead zones of the ocean will be brought back to life. It's high ionization with the water. So like you're talking about when you talk about like nano bubbles and that same type of technology that we work on and stuff where you're producing, like, basically talk about that on crack. So if you've got super high charged ions and clumps of ions, and then we would call them clumps of magnetrons, the water will become so charged with energy that not only can it produce spontaneous healing, spontaneous transformation, spontaneous genetic repositioning of dropping old DNA, activating new DNA, transforming everything, all the life in the ocean. The life in the ocean is really, really waiting for this process. So dolphins, whales, everything, these are higher consciousness types of beings that are going to fully engage in this process with us. So there's no question in my mind that they know what's coming and they will fully engage with humans in this process. And it's going to be very powerful in the sense that water will become the modality, unlike anything else on this planet, the modality for healing, the modality for transformation, the modality for nutrition, for health, for everything, vitality. And it will all be it's the best carrier for this type of energy. And so it's like we would say, if you transform water, you transform everything. And
Mhm.
they know this. They are very, very aware of this. All they would need to do is put one device in one body of water on this planet, and all the rest of the water will follow suit with what that water does. One device can entrain the entire planet. And so when what happens to water, everything else follows. And so when we're entering this new cycle, water kind of leads the way because it's the first thing to transform. It's the first thing that, and it's so interdimensional in its nature. It's almost like the etheric expression in the physical reality. But what we haven't yet done since we've been in the low cycle for thousands of years, we're going to come back to the physical connection that, like, when you think about, say, if you have the ability to have telekinesis, our telekinetic abilities will evolve first with water, if that makes sense. So, like, we will be able to influence and work with and commune with water in the sense that water will respond to our energy field. It will respond to our consciousness. It will dance with us. It will sing with us. It will communicate with us. It will give us messages. It will help us get what we need in our body. So water's like the first thing, and then everything else just kind of goes from there. All the other elements then will start to come online. So as our ability, as we get trained, then our telekinetic abilities will start to be with all other natural elements. But water's really the training grounds for it. So it's a huge, huge deal. Not only that, we'll make vortices that are so powerful, they're so energetic that all of the toxins, anything that's outside of the natural elemental ratios of the water, like necessary for spring water or ocean water, we will transmute all of those. Those will completely be wiped out of the system. So one of the biggest things they said is what humanity will do first and foremost with this technology and with this consciousness, all petroleum products will be removed from water with
Mhm.
this process. All petroleum products, petroleum-based products, whether it's the actual oil spills, whether it's whatever it is, but it could be plastic, it could be anything. All of that has to be removed from water. And the vortices and the pulsing will become so intense that we will transform, we will transmute all of those and break down all those elements into basically nothing. So,
Yeah.
well, in the pulsing magnetic fields, you can break down any element with a pulsing rotating magnetic field at the right pulse rates without water. But when you combine it with water, it works perfectly seamlessly with water. So it's they work very well in tandem together. The water responds magnificently to pulsing magnetic fields. And so it's very willing to let go of all the toxic elements in it and come back to its natural harmonic ratios. And as soon as it starts, the vortex taps the etheric. So as soon as it gets entrained to that higher dimensional etheric energy, all of the natural ratios are already embedded in that process. So anything that's outside of that immediately separates from the water. It wants it out of it. It doesn't have any resonation with it. There's a lot of dissonance with it, and it clears it out instantly, especially in a magnetic field, in a pulsing magnetic field. So it's a very powerful process, and it's definitely something that will transform the oceans and the rivers, lakes, groundwater, everything. So
So does the magnetic component involve cavitation?
yeah, and the cavitation, so you can get all the way down to molecular level cavitation,
Okay.
depending on the resonant frequencies that you're using.
You're
But
breaking apart the molecular clusters.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So the cavitation is key because once you hit the resonant frequency of that, then you instantly destroy whatever it is. I don't like to use that word, but if you're talking something like plastic,
Break
you
apart.
instantly break it all down to essentially nothing. But we don't necessarily need that in a ceremony. We have the cavitation completely built into us. So we have the ability to sing, to chant. Our whole bodies are already designed to produce the right harmonics and the right frequencies to talk to water and to commune with water already. And our chanting and our ability to chant with each other, we've talked about this on other calls. People will do different notes, and then the resonant frequency combination between those notes will produce waves of energy that will sing with the water and blend with the water, and the water will respond magnificently to that. And so we are already designed to do it even without technology. But then when you start entering technology into it, then you can have, we can take it to the next level. So this is a process that is going to happen for sure. Like nothing is going to stop this process from what we are told, because this is hugely important, not just to humans, but to the rest of the life on the planet that is very sacred to a lot of beings out there. And they are not going to stop for 1 second until they ensure that the life in these oceans is preserved and well maintained with the right environment that's toxic free. So, I mean, this is a very serious endeavor. It's kind of like if someone came to your house and threw some shit in your fish tank, and you have, $50,000 of fish in that tank. You're going to do whatever you can to make sure you save those fish. And you're going to get that water clean. You're going to filter it. You're going to do whatever. I mean, well, these are billions of beings around that have a very high priority for the life in our oceans, and they're not about to let that go to shit. They're going to save the situation. As soon as we get out of this cycle and it's allowed to be done, it's going to be done. So
So what's
if,
coming?
if
When you
we
talk about
enter it,
using a vortex or a vortice to bring water up, is that primary water you're bringing up or surface
that's
water?
no,
Primary.
that's primary water. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because that's abiotic. It replenishes the earth, continues to replenish that. And so now, granted, with our level of consciousness, we may not even need to do that if we raise in consciousness, because we're going to have different options available to us, but there will be no shortage of water anywhere on the world. I can tell you that. That's 100% for sure.
Magnetic, is there already that technology at a reasonable price? Because I tell you, there are a lot of countries that would love to have something at a reasonable price that takes the salt and
Out
pollutants
of the water.
out of ocean water.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready for it to be released. I think it'll be suppressed. Part of the problem with that technology is it connects to the ionosphere, and it modifies gravity within inside of it. So anything that does that immediately pretty much gets confiscated.
So, Kevin, when you're saying about the water changing, and uh, since we are consisting of 80+% of water, does the water we contain within us will resonate with the changes that are happening on a grand scale, which is that equivalent to ascension virtually?
Basically, yes, exactly right. And I think that's the thing, since we are mostly water, everything as the water, as we change, our consciousness, our conscious interface with the water within us connects to the water outside of us. Essentially, it's not really, and we start to like, we're one with that water. We become one with all the water around us. And so that's exactly right. That's a level of ascension for sure. So like if you go to the supermarket right now and you look at the produce and you look at the aura of the produce, even the organic produce has pretty good auric energy. It's okay, it's not great, but it'll like be like, like this. The food we're talking about, the auric energy will be way out here. It'll be so supercharged with auric energy that just consuming a few strawberries will have this like almost like a mind-blowing interdimensional sacred experience because you're consuming so much auric energy just with a very, very small amount of food. So people will only eat, like I said, they'll eat it as an experience. They'll not eat it out of necessity like we do now. Because anything that changes the natural molecular structures of what is growing out of the earth will be completely discarded. There was absolutely no genetically modified food. I mean, that's a sin against nature. Well, it's all going to become clear very soon, and the choice is going to be very simple: ascend or die.